next presentation is on lean leadership and fundamentals of the organization that renews itself. We're going to talk about management and leadership and the difference between the two. Management is the process of getting activities completed effectively and efficiently with and through the help of others. Management is a continuous process through which members of an organization seek to coordinate their activities and utilize their resources in order to fulfill the various tasks of the organization as efficiently as possible. Whilst leadership is the process of guiding followers in a certain direction in pursuit of a vision, mission, or goals. Leadership is the ability to provide direction to a group of people and influence those people to follow the direction and act accordingly. So you tend to see that in our society we have leaders and people tend to admire different leaders. Leaders are admired through their personality traits and skills. So I'm going to just point out a few traits and skills that leaders have. Traits include adaptation to situations, those who are alert to the social environment. Some are ambitious and achievement-oriented, assertive, cooperative, decisive, dependable, dominant, desire to influence others, energetic, high activity level, persistent, self-confident, tolerant of stress, and willing to assume responsibility. Skills include being clever or intelligent, conceptually skilled, creative, diplomatic and tactful, fluent in speaking, knowledgeable about a group task, organized, persuasive, socially skilled. Leaders who also use integrity, honesty, compassion, and humility. So you find people like to be associated with people or leaders with these traits and skills, because you want a person who is diplomatic. You don't want favoritism, so you tend to be more inclined to a person who is diplomatic. So what do teams need from their leader? They need a leader who is able to communicate, who is approachable and always available, who shows consistency even in handling team members or a group, who is organized, who knows the art of delegation, who is confident and knowledgeable, who can innovate and inspire. So every time people want to lead, it sometimes fails because of the culture within an organization or within a country or wherever. Why? Because every time you want to implement something, culture is always in the way. So somebody once said that culture defeats strategy every time, and culture eats strategy for breakfast. So whatever, no matter how good your strategy is, if there is a bad culture in your organization, that strategy will not work. So strategy is on paper, whereas culture determines how things get done. So culture is very influential and should be tackled during strategy implementation, during lean implementation, so that your project can become successful. So in terms of your vision, you know where you are and you know how to go, but the culture will eat the strategy and you will not be able to get where you want to go. So you should be able to communicate your vision to the organization to say, I've learned about lean management. I now need also to educate others on this lean philosophy. How do you do that? You tell a story and you perfect your elevator pitch. What are the benefits that I'll get from this philosophy? How is it going to improve our productivity? How is it going to increase our efficiency? How is it going to improve our maintenance system? And use multiple forms of media because different stakeholders get the message differently. So you need to use multiple forms for everyone to be on the same page. And have one-on-one conversation with your team, with other departments to say, this is where we want to go and this is how we are going to do it. Draw a crowd internally, go outside the company, talk to your suppliers to say, we are embarking on a lean management journey and these are our expectations from you. This is what it entails. These are the benefits. Can you come on board? Make memories. Have a launch that is publicized. Have regalia that will be able to make memories and say, that's how we started our journey. Guide the expedition. Back up what you're talking about with doing. So when you're implementing lean, you also need to talk about key performance indicators because we are saying you need to implement something, so you need to measure what you're implementing. A KPI is a quantifiable measure that can be used to determine how well company goals are being met. So the 5 reasons why would you want to use KPIs include to monitor the company's health, to measure progress, to make adjustments and stay on track, to solve problems or tackle opportunities, and to analyze patterns over time. So now we also need to talk about process improvement tools that can help you through your lean journey. We have what is known as the CPOC diagram. It has the supplier inputs, processes, outputs, and customer. So this CPOC diagram helps you identify activities that happen in each and every category to say, with the supplier, what are we doing? With the inputs, what are we inputting into the system? What is processed? What comes out? And what is given to the customer? It helps you analyze your system well because you have noted down everything that needs to be in the process. We also have what is known as the Ishikawa fishbone diagram. This tool helps us identify the root cause of something to say, if we have a breakdown or we have a part that is the wrong size, what are the possible areas that can go wrong? Is it the machine? Is it the people, the environment, the measurement? And thereafter, you then go on to drill down further to any errors that can occur within the people. Maybe somebody has made a mistake. Maybe the settings are wrong. Maybe the procedure is wrong. Or maybe the machine malfunctioned. So you zero in on the root cause through the Ishikawa fishbone diagram. So the more you zero in on it, the more it becomes evident to get to the root cause. We also have the 5 whys. So the 5 whys indicates that if you ask a question the 5 whys 5 times, you'll be able to get the root cause of the problem. So this example illustrates that you are saying, you're asking, why is there oil on the floor? And somebody says oil leaks from the cylinder rod when activated. And the next question is, why did oil leak? And an operator can say the O-ring was cut. And you can say, why was the O-ring cut? And the answer would be, the rod was flawed. And another follow-up question would be, why was the rod flawed? And the answer would be, dirt in the oil abrades the rod. And the fifth question would be, why did the dirt get in the oil? Because there are holes and gaps on the upper plate of the tank. So this technique allows you to get to the bottom line of the problem. And once you have gotten to the bottom line of the problem, you'll be able to address the problem. So it's one of the effective tools that we can use in our plants when we have a breakdown, when we want to do an improvement project, so that we get to the root cause of the problem. So you can also use what is known as a project prioritization matrix to say, we are going to have so many projects, but how do we prioritize? So you need to rate certain factors on all the project to say, is it the money? How easy is the project? Are the resources available? To be able to say, we'll pick the one with the highest score to be our priority project because of we've considered these projects or these factors. So this is one of the tools that you can also use in process improvement. You can also use the DMAIC method. This is a Lean Six Sigma method, where DMAIC stands for define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. So this method uses an A3 paper, the A3 metric nomenclature of a paper size that we know. So in terms of that, you have to put your story on the A3. So it has to have define, measure, improve, and control of your project. You need to define, what is it that I'm going to improve? How am I going to measure that project? Or what am I going to measure? How am I going to analyze the results? And in analysis, you can even include graphs and charts. You also need to improve, what are the improvements that I've done? And control, how am I going to sustain those improvements? So it's a framework for organizing, thinking, and work. It can be used for individuals and teams. It is a structured cycle of improvement. So you can actually stick your A3 paper into your plans so that you can see, or it can summarize your projects. It promotes transparency of issues, problems, and thinking, and makes work and opportunities visible. It tells the story. So it is a communication tool that follows a logical and standard structure. So in your DMAIC approach or your A3 thinking, you can include things like the Ishikawa fishbone diagram, the 5 whys, as techniques that you use to do your analysis and improve your project. So this is just a sample of how you can lay out your project on an A3 template to say you have your background. So you need to clearly point out that I am working on this project. Maybe my machine has been producing 500 units per hour, yet it's supposed to produce 1,000. My current condition is that there is that deficit of 500. So what is my goal? My goal is for me to work maybe on produce or work on making it produce 800 items per hour. So what is it that is making it fail to produce that? That's when you do your root cause analysis using different techniques. Then countermeasures. What is it that you're going to do in order for you to get results? And how are we going to do it? Implementation plan and follow-up actions. Have we succeeded? How well are we doing? And what are we going to do next? So this just also shows an illustration of a plan, do, check, act cycle, which also is similar to the DMAIC or A3 paper or A3 template, because it also follows the cycle. So it's either you do it as a plan, do, check, act cycle, or you do it as an A3 template, but they're basically the same because the information that is in there is the same. So it's just the wording or the naming that is different. So in doing these improvement projects, you also need to gain project sponsorship. So you need to gain this sponsorship from the top management. You need top management buy-in. Here we are looking at having a strong leadership, and the need for change should be communicated from the top to the bottom so that it's accepted and it's easy to implement. You also need to have clear and motivating goals and objectives. You need to manage resistance to change. And culture should be modified to encourage change. So culture can only be modified if you engage top management or the leadership. So it's really important to have top management buy-in before implementing any project or program. So managing and leading through organizational change, you focus on ensuring there is active sponsorship for the change at a senior executive level within the organization, engaging this sponsorship to achieve the desired results, because whatever you're going to need will need to be authorized by management, and if you don't have their support, you will not get the desired results. So you need buy-in, gaining buy-in for the changes from those involved and affected directly or indirectly. You also need buy-in from the shop floor workers. You also need buy-in from the middle management. Everyone should be involved, because anyone who is left out will make it difficult for you to implement lean management. Involving the right people in the design and implementation of changes to make sure the right changes are made. Say you want to make changes in the production plant, you also need to involve the operators during the initial stages so that they have their input into whatever should be changed, because if you then just give them a new way of doing things without engaging them, they might resist the change. The impact, you also need to assess and address how the changes will affect people and act accordingly, have mitigating strategies. Also communication, telling everyone who is affected about the changes before they happen. They should be formal ways of communication in the organization, not informal ways. And readiness, getting people ready to adapt to the changes, to ensure they have the right information, training, and help. Not to say that you are just going to do this without even training them or providing the right resources. It will end up in a disaster. So these are some of the things that you need for you to be able to implement change successfully. Thank you.